Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this visual training. My name is Wisdom Ogbonna, but you can call me Mr. Wise Tech. Today, I'll be taking everyone on this training, and we are making 10 buckets of screeding putty. As you all know, screeding is the application of materials on the wall to make the wall smooth, so that when you paint, the wall comes out very fine. This is necessary especially when you're painting such paint as silk or matte paint. Even though I've seen some persons even screed walls that they intend to paint emulsion paint. But if you intend to paint silk, then you should screed the wall before painting. Now, we are making MC50 screeding putty. You can Google it. MC50 screeding putty is the best for anything screeding. It is antifungal, it does not peel, it does not crack, it does not freak, and it is just the best. Comes out very smooth, it is ready made. Once it is produced, you don't have to mix anything again. All you need to do is open and apply. Now, for beginners, would first of all want to introduce you to the materials that we'll be using for this production. Please remember that the purpose of this training is to help painters who wish to step up their game in order for them to now screed walls before they paint, so that they will use the best materials for their screeding, so that when they do so, they can be sure that their materials that they have used to screed the wall is durable. And then for screeders who also wish to step up their game by not using the conventional black cement. When I say black cement, I mean the usual Dangote, Unisem, or Superset kind of cement. Mixing it with a tall bond and paint to screed the wall. That is outdated, I can assure you, and that is not durable. The problem with that particular kind of screeding is that it can peel after some time, it cracks, and then it breaks, and I can assure you that it is not antifungal. So now, with some of the materials we're going to be using here is calcium, like you can see in the video. What that young man is pouring in now is called calcium. Calcium. Then we have acrylic. Then we have Bamacol. Bamacol is the thickener. Then we have Juniper, and then we have ammonia. You might as well add formalin, but formalin will only be necessary if you are going to be keeping the product for a long time before use. But if you are going to be using it almost immediately, then there might not be any need for formalin. Then some persons I have seen too add titanium dioxide, but I'm not going to be using that. Sometimes when they add titanium dioxide is because they don't intend to paint immediately, so they might add that in order for the white to come out whiter. And now, talking about color, one thing exceptional about MC50 screen is it can come in just any color of your choice, and once it is done properly, it can make your home look like it is painted already. Now, let's go back to the materials again. Meanwhile, let's go back to the training. Now, today we will be making 10 buckets of screeding putty. When we talk about 10 buckets, we're talking about 20, like the kind of bucket I'm using to pour water now, 20-liter bucket, and we're making 10. Now, what are the materials and what quantities of materials do we need in order to make 10 buckets of MC50 screeding putty? We'll start mentioning the materials in their order of application or the order of mixture. First, we'll start by mentioning that we'll need 5 buckets of clean water. When I say clean water, I mean just any water that has no color and that is not contaminated with something like oil or any other thing. Then, so we'll need 5 buckets of clean water, and then we'll need 5 bags of calcium, and then we need Juniper. Juniper, you can use the material according to your preference, but for this training, I'm going to be mentioning that we'll use about 5 kg Juniper, and then we have Bamacol. Bamacol, like I mentioned before, is the thickener. Production is not complete without a thickener. You must thicken the product in order to get the best out of it. So, after which we will conclude this formulation with ammonia. Some persons do not use ammonia because of the corrosiveness of the material. For somebody who has some problems like asthma, might not want to be exposed to ammonia. It is very corrosive, but for others, we can use it. And as you can see, some of the protective materials that we use, call it PPE, personal protective equipment, you can use masks. Like as you can see, I'm using gas masks. That is will help to insulate the dust and the smell of the chemical. You can use hand gloves, and in some cases you can use eye protective equipment like eye glass. So remember we mentioned that we use 5 buckets of clean water, 5 bags of calcium. We use Chenipo, about 5 kg, and then you use Bamako. Bamako, I have not mentioned the quantity. Bamako, for 10 buckets, we are using just 1 kg. 1 kg will give us the thickness that we desire. So if you are producing just 1 bucket of putty, now you can split what the materials that were mentioned and their quantity into 10 to get what you need. So which means for a bucket of putty, you'll be needing half bag of calcium, half bucket of clean water. You need let's say 0.1 Jenipo, you need 0.1 Bamako, and then for ammonia you might use 0.12 if you can stand it. You can just add a little quantity. The purpose of ammonia is that is what helps the product to be antifungal. The presence of that material will stop the wall from growing fungi and algae. So now, the machine I'm using right now to mix this formulation is called paint mixer. It's called paint mixer. I think I might make a video on how we get such machine, but for now, let's just have it at the name as paint mixer. And then you will need a drum like the one you're seeing in the picture, and then you will need I think that's basically what you need. Then you need a scale. Why scale is necessary is much of what we use here has to be measured and has to be measured properly. If not measured properly, it might compromise the quality as well as the durability of the formulation, and it might as well waste your materials. Imagine a situation where you're not measuring and then you're just busy pouring all of this. You might end up having very strong materials that you must have used your material money to buy, and then you might just have wasted it. In fact, excess of some of these materials is not good. Having too much of acrylic in your formulation is bad because it might make the formulation too strong that it becomes difficult to apply, and when applied it might even force it to pull off. One thing about acrylic that I've noticed so far is that when it dries, it gives the formulation this glassy, water resistant look. So too much of it is not good. So for acrylic, we'll be using 20 kg. 20 kg because each bucket contains 2 kg. So 2 times 10 is 20, of course. So we'll be using 20 kg. Now, as you can see, I keep adding the water gradually. I do not pour all 5 buckets in at once. No, you don't do that because you have to reserve the water to help you mix properly. And then you have to handle the machine very carefully. Of course, you need to make sure that the wire is secured so I do not have a situation where you have shock, and then you can use gloves when handling it and try to keep your hand dry. Do not expose it to water. That is more reason why you will definitely be needing what we will call factory assistant. Just exactly what this young man is doing now. What he's pouring now is already measured acrylic. You have to keep some of your formulations already measured and on standby so that when you need them, you can easily just pour them in. Ensure to remove whatever that is left on the bucket so that it will further enhance your formulation. So when you pour in, you mix and mix properly. Now, talking about mixing, you have to make sure that your calcium is properly dissolved before putting any other chemical. Why that is the case is because